right, so Rico McGee, we're here, man. Vince McKee, Key on Sports, just wrote another book, man. Thank you for coming back on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's a double-edged sword with media, right? Like before I had Key on Sports, let me adjust my monitor there so we can see the little logo. Before we had Key on Sports, right? I used to go on shows all the time. Every time I had a book published, people would have me on. It was great. I had like I think 10 books published before Key on Sports was built. But then once we became Key, I opened up my own media company. All of a sudden, all the other presses and media companies want to have me on anymore. It was the strangest thing. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
this mainstream media is kind of fickle.
A little ridiculous, but
Yeah.
you were nice enough to have me on last time, so it's my pleasure, man. We got a couple books coming your way. I know the high school football book is on the way, and the new Browns book, so looking good.
Definitely. And that's what I want to talk to you about because this new Browns book seems very interesting. So, my first question is what can readers get out of this book, particularly Cleveland Browns fans?
Positive stories. So the one thing with the Cleveland Browns history, so much of it is negative, and I understand that because since they've come back, there has been a ton of good to talk about, right? And it's like whatever could go wrong has gone wrong. But in the course of that, we've had some really good athletes come through our doors, whether it was Josh Cribbs, Joe Thomas, Phil Dawson, and then we had flashes in the pan. They're really fun to write about. People forget about them, but they were fun. Peyton Hillis being one of those guys. Obviously, Braylon Edwards and Kellen Winslow had a stretch there in 2007, a team that won 10 games under Romeo Crennel. So basically, this book starts off in 99 and it tells the story all the way through last season, but it tells it in a bit of a more positive way and gives the fans some fun memories to look back on, including our run to the playoffs in 02 and then again in 2020.
Okay, now with the Browns, where do you see the Browns finishing this year and what I know that's the question everybody wants, everybody asks that question. Yo, where do you see the Browns finishing this year and where do you see the Browns being? I think the Browns are going to be good for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, so do
Honestly, I
I.
think last year they've had some injuries the last couple seasons, had some quarterback issues, but now it seems like they found their quarterback. Does Deshaun Watson, do you speak about Deshaun Watson in this book at all?
At the very end,
Okay.
because we wrapped it up right before last season began. I think they're going to be good. Okay, so I see them. It's such a tough division, and I think it's the toughest division in football, and it has been since they've been back in the league. Right now, I look at it like this: I don't see them finishing any worse than third place. Okay, so this is the kind of season where I think the Browns could go 10-7, because there's 17 games now, right? And
Right.
where does it say that? Or 11-6 and still finish in third. I know it sounds wild, but it's very possible. But here's the ticket, and they could easily finish in first as well. And let me tell you why, because it's not that I think we're better than the Bengals and the Ravens, because I don't. I think we're just a little bit underneath. But here's the difference. I feel like the Bengals are one injury away from catastrophe. They have no depth on that team. They showed it last year when Jamar Chase got hurt and banged up, and they lost a couple games. Joe Burrow gets sacked a lot. I love Jamar Chase, but they don't have any really depth besides him. You have Higgins there, but still. Then you have the running back situation. That's still unresolved there. So a lot of things going on in Cincinnati. And then Baltimore, to me, I hate the Ravens because I lived through the move. I'm old enough to know Art Rodell and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I've always hated the Ravens, but I have to give them credit on paper. And again, I'll say on paper, they could be the most explosive team in the AFC North because of the talent that they brought in. They had a phenomenal draft. They had good free agents, bringing in OBJ. But keyword there is explosive because that could go explosive good or complete turmoil and destruction and a total clean house, right? So you have the Eagles there. You have Lamar Jackson playing now with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Yes, he got that big contract, but look at all holy hell he had to go through. And
Right.
remember last season at the end of the year, he left the team. He literally cleaned out his locker room and left the team with like 3 games to go. And it was like, even when that playoff game, he wasn't even there. Now, how often do you see a leader of a football team, even if they're injured, not at a game on the sidelines? And
And
that was the deal with him. So I'll tell you what, they look good on paper, but I think they're one asinine move by somebody away from just it blowing up.
hey, that's an excellent analysis because I think the Browns can't finish. I don't see them finishing no lower than third place. That's a really really tough decision. And you could never count on Pittsburgh. As long as they had Mike Tomlin as their head coach,
Yeah.
the Steelers are gonna be awesome. So my
Two really
next
good
question.
coaches. Well, two really good coaches in the AFC North. Okay, in my opinion, John Harbaugh is amazing, and I think Mike Tomlin is one of the greatest coaches of all time that gets very little no credit, and I think that's wrong. We're light years away from him taking over Bill Cowher's team. He rebuilt the Steelers, and they've been good every year he's been in Pittsburgh. I didn't mean to cut you off. I wanted to
No,
throw
it's
that out.
okay.
I think Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches there is, and also when it comes to people like forgetting about people, I'll say this about Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is incredible. When he's playing his best football, he's tough to beat. He's so talented. I don't take anything about those 6 games last year serious. They weren't going to open up that playbook. It was knocking the rust off of him, getting him ready again. Throw the personal stuff out the window. None of us know what's true. We weren't there. I'm not condoning it as a father of 2 daughters. It sickens me, but we don't know the truth. We weren't there. So give this guy a clean slate. You know, he's done his time, or however you want to put it, right? Got suspended. Now let's play some football.
Hey, that's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. And I've always felt like, look, if he, throwing all personal stuff out the window, if he did it, then he needs to be punished. But like I said, there's no evidence. We weren't there, so I can't knock him for that. Next question would be, what inspired you to write this book?
So it's funny, man, because I wrote a book called Bernie, Bill, and the Browns. And if you come out to the book signing, let me know. I'll give you a copy on me. Just remind me that I said it's free, and I'll gladly send you over a copy. So
Okay.
about 10 years ago, I wrote a book called as Bernie, Bill, and the Browns. And it's about the last 10 years that the Browns were in Cleveland the first time around. So it goes 85 through 95. It's a great book. There's so many great stories in that book, but it's sad. There's so many sad endings, right? And I was like, damn, I'm like, no matter how I try to spin this, it's a book about misery, with the drive and the fumble and the move and all the bad things that happen. So the inspiration, as you say, having Key on Sports, again, writing so many articles about the current day Browns and been covering them for the last 6 years, I thought to myself, I have enough content there that I could kind of pluck and write some new stuff, and it becomes a book. Plus, I was inspired. It's going to seem silly, but by Thursday Night Football and Monday Night Football and a little bit of Sunday Night Football, because the Browns, believe it or not, on Monday nights and Thursday nights actually have a really good record since they've returned from 99. It's a way above average record. It's like 700 winning percentage, right? So like when the spotlight's on the brightest, they seem to step it up, but no one remembers that. Everybody remembers the misery. So again, it just kind of inspired me to write some good stuff, and that's why it's called First and 10, a fresh look at the Cleveland Browns. It's not meant to give anybody any kind of false hope, but again, it inspired me to do so because it's a fun book I like to write about. Read, I should say.
I just love the idea of the book, and I think what's most important is that since the Browns have come back in 1999, I know they've only had 3 winning seasons, 2 playoff appearances. Hasn't been much, to get excited about. All the jokes from across the NFL, going to college. I went to college in Richmond and told them I was from Cleveland, and they made jokes about the Browns with me then. What would you say to those people now that feel like they still want to make jokes, even though I've been telling people the Browns are actually good? They just battled through some downs after the playoff year a few years ago.
Wow, to remind them about the Buffalo Bills, 4 straight Super Bowl losses, right? I mean, you can pick apart any team in the NFL and say, hey, this is where they stunk. You know what I mean? We don't know how the Green Bay Packers are going to be. Who knows what's going to happen with Jordan Love? So even when you have this football dynasty laden towns, they're going to go through stretches. Unfortunately, here in Cleveland, the Browns have had one, right? We've gone through a super long stretch, and there's a lot of bad luck. I would tell anybody out there, unless you're personally responsible for your team winning a Super Bowl, you really shouldn't talk about anything, because at the end of the day, you're just a fan. We're all just fans. We're fanatics. My favorite sport outside of this, which I'm sure you've seen me on social media, I love wrestling, right? So big time wrestling, WWE. I can't get enough of it, right? And the funny thing there is we know it's I'll never call it fake because it's not fake, but it is scripted. right?
Right.
And we still get emotionally invested in it, and we still cheer for our guys. And when Cody Rhodes lost this year, the Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, my wife was in tears. I was flipping out. So like, you get anything you root for, you're gonna get invested in. And again, I would tell fans, hey, turn the mirror around every now and then. No one's had it easy, and no one's had it perfect.
Hey, I agree 100%. Believe me, my favorite team, I watched them blow it in the Super Bowl. So it's like, and I'll never hear the end of that. And I'm just like, sheesh. Well,
Falcons.
yes.
Yeah, my guy Brandon Sorter Penner went through the same deal.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So, um, so you've been writing books now. How long have you been writing?
My first book was published in 2012, October 1st, 2012. So it has been 11 years.
Okay. Okay, 11 years. And I'm glad you actually got into writing because you give a fresh perspective on everything, sports, whether it's WWE, whether it's football, basketball, high school sports. What do you think? What do you see differently that separates you from a lot of these main guys on ESPN and Fox Sports? What do you what do you see that you think makes you stand out?
I'm honored by that question. Thank you so much.
Ah,
I'm just a fan that learned how to control a website, right? So, a little history on me, which is going to answer your question. I came from nothing. I was poor growing up. I knew when I was 18 years old, I had to go find a job and work full time. There was no media school for Vince McKee. But I wrote, you know what I mean? I like to write stuff. So when I got out of high school and I started probably about 6, 7 years later, whatever it was, I started writing this book called Hero, which ended up being my first book. I fell in love with writing. I love to write. Okay. I love calling games too. I love to do play-by-play and broadcast games. I enjoy the heck out of it. But the thing about it is Kenny Rhoda is one of the nicest human beings on planet Earth. And Kenny Rhoda told me once, he said, Vince, he goes, in this industry, now that you've been writing books, you're going to be on shows and everything. He goes, 50% of the people you're going to meet are going to be nice people. They're going to be genuine, like yourself, Rico, like good human beings. And you're going to know right away. He goes, but the other 50% are going to be complete. He used the A word, right? So complete assholes. And he was true. He was 100% right. And that's what I've encountered these last, 10 plus years of some people being like, oh yeah, come right on the show. We would love to have you on to promote your book. Or they call me about my article and say, hey, come on the show. Let's talk about this article that you wrote. There's a lot of good people out there. And I've learned from them. That's how you treat people. Like, for example, your associate, Ramel, right? Ramel Thorpe seems like a really good guy, and like, he had reached out to me for certain things, certain questions, and I did my best to try to answer them because I know that if the situation was reversed and I was in a situation like that, like I would always want to help somebody. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what I've been in. I've been in situations where other people didn't help. So to me, it's like, what makes us different, Keon Sports? I really truly feel like we treat things like a family. We're all friends here. Yes, I am quote unquote the boss, but you could ask any of the guys who write for me or broadcast for me. I don't act that way. I don't treat them that way. And that's what makes us different. And I think that's why people take to us. We had over 4 million people last year. Click on the website, follow us on all the different social media platforms, on YouTube. We did a lot of big things and we're going to continue to grow. And I think, again, it's because how we treat people.
Exactly, man. That's exactly how we feel at the Sports Minute and 216 Sports Network, man. We just got together, decided to grow, and we just try to treat everybody with respect. And that's really what it's all about. Really what it's all about.
Well, yeah. I mean, and Enrico, let me throw this out here for you. So I saw the Hall of Fame stuff. You're going to be at the Hall of Fame. I was like, yes, that's awesome. Good for them. Right.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, you want to root for these other people. Like, you should be rooting for your fellow man, not against them. And I saw that. I was so proud of you, man. And it was like, again, I think Ramel reached out to me. It was a couple years ago now, but it was like he had been interviewing Hall of Fame players. I'm like, this is unbelievable, So I think it's awesome that you guys hooked up.
Oh, thank you, man. That means a lot to me. That definitely means a lot to me. I really appreciate that. My next question: where's the book signing going to be, and where can people pick up the book?
Thank you. I always forget to plug it. My little girl is right outside shooting the basketball, so it just kind of took my attention away for a second.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
It is Roasted Coffee Shop. It's on Bagley Road, down by, like, if you were gonna go all the way down to Stearns to go to like swings and things, that area. So
Okay.
Roasted Coffee Shop. It's on July 22nd, so a week from Saturday, or whenever
Okay.
this posts. So July 22nd. Follow me on Facebook. Go to Key on Sports on Facebook or Vince McKee on Facebook. I have a group invite page for it there. If you can't make it that day, totally understand, but it's from 12 to 2. But if you can't make it, they're taking pre-orders for the Browns book that officially comes out on August 9th, but the pre-orders are on Amazon. And then once August 9th hits, you can buy the book anywhere books are sold. So Walmart, Target, even Giant Eagle, obviously, Barnes and Noble, places like that. But yeah, I mean, come on out. There's never really a lineup at book signings, unfortunately. So you'll have plenty of time to shoot the breeze, and we could talk some sports. And for you coffee drinkers out there, I've heard really good things about Roasted. They're one of our sponsors. I know when I walked in there last week to meet with the owner, it smelled amazing. So come on out.
All right. Thank you so much, man, for joining the show, Vince. I really appreciate it. This new episode will be uploaded soon, so probably today, probably by
Yeah.
this evening.
Oh, no
So,
problem. And I'll throw this one last thing out there for you if it's okay.
yeah.
If you and you and Ramal are cool with it, let me know, because I would love to put this podcast on my website. I don't have to, but like if you want me to, I'd be glad to do
Oh,
it.
yeah, that's fine. That's definitely cool. It's all right with me. I really
Hey,
appreciate it.
I do brotherhood.
Thank you. No doubt. No doubt, man. Thank you. Thanks for being on the show, Vince. I really appreciate it. I'm definitely looking forward to reading this book because I'm really, like you said, man, with the Browns have so many downs that we don't really talk about the ups that they had, and they're actually on their way up to the top.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And I think I'll be telling people, man, listen, man, the Browns are good. You just got to give them some time.
Injuries, stay healthy. You have one now. You have a much better D line. Who we brought in the offseason through trade, through draft, our defensive line's a lot better this season. The distraction that was Clowney, Jadeveon Clowney's gone. I loved Kareem Hunt. I was a big Kareem Hunt fan. But I think that was maybe a bit of a distraction there too, a bit of a distraction. Jerome Ford's really good. Everybody
Yeah.
talks about how good he is. So I'm excited for this team. Absolutely, man.
Hey, listen, I'm excited for the Browns too. Definitely excited for the Browns. Thank you so much for joining the show, Vince, man. As always, man. I'm Rico McGee. This has been the Sports Minute. And as always, we'll see you in a minute.